Gaming news this week sees the DLC for Starfield come out, or is about to launch, and it's both smaller and also more detailed than anticipated. We're going to get to that. Plus, Tony Hawk is teasing some new gaming stuff that could be pretty amazing, not gonna lie. And then the PS6 is in fact in early development, and it's showing good signs for the future. Let's get into all of that and a bit more. Welcome, nerds, to this week's edition of the Gaming and Tech News, generally speaking. Now, I'm no Linus or Spawnwave or Gamers Nexus or insert channel that is dedicated to the tech and gaming news here. That's not what you're getting here. This is just enough to keep you informed, generally speaking. We do this just about every week as part of a larger news show called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel. You can find that linked down in the description or at the end of this video. Now let's talk about some gaming and tech and maybe even some like photo, video kind of news as well. All right, follow-ups and corrections for gaming and tech. We have a couple. First up, we have Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. For those of us who are waiting for the physical release, which is due out November 22nd in North America, you will be pleased to know that it is going to be a proper physical release. It is not going to be a code in a box. At least not in North America. The European release apparently is going to be a code in a box for some reason. At least the first shipment of boxes will just be effectively an empty box with a code in it, which is highly unfortunate. I really hate that aspect of modern gaming, but the North American release is going to have an actual game inside of it. There was something else here. No, that's it. That's everything. It's going to, there will be a cartridge if you are purchasing it for the Switch in North America. So there's that. Speaking of the Nintendo Switch, we now have word that the holiday bundles are being announced, and of course, for the, 12th year in a row, 20th year in a row, who knows? The Twitch holiday bundle is going to be featuring Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Of course. Why? What else? What other game has released since the launch of this console that would warrant a special edition of the... Oh, 2 versions of Zelda, maybe? Or, I don't know, probably half a dozen other games in the last 2 years at least? Like, whatever. I still don't have Mario Kart 8 and I really need to get it, but like, I have a Switch, so I don't need a whole console. It's just, whatever. This is a silly decision. We're gonna move on because I can't, I'm just gonna keep hamming up on it. Next, the follow-ups, we have another round of closings from GameStop. We do know that last year, their year-over-year, or last year to this year, quarter one of 2023 to quarter one of 2024, saw a 30% decrease in sales for the company of GameStop. So, as a response to that, they made the announcement they're going to be shuttering a good chunk of their stores. They did not say exactly how many stores they were going to be closing the doors on. Seems like a weird contrasting business model from the last time we talked about GameStop, because that was them pivoting some of their stores to be retro stores where they're going to be selling old consoles and previous generation games. So very interesting, the status of GameStop. I really feel like we're seeing we're about to get to the final death throes of this company, and it's a sign of the times, and it really breaks your heart to see, but that just kind of is what it is. That's what we have for follow-ups and corrections. Let's jump into trailers. The first trailer has actually to do with an announcement from Steam. Steam has changed the way family plans work. So previously, if you were on a family plan and the owner of the plan was on playing a game, then anyone else who was also registered to that plan would not be able to play anything because the account was occupied, as it were. Well, now with their new family plans, you will be able to play any other game as long as everybody is registered to the family, aside from what the other person is playing. So it could be any one of, they do family plans for up to 6 people, because obviously it's not just going to be families that take advantage of this. It is going to be friend groups, I'm sure. So they kind of anticipated that and said, okay, well, you can all be part of the same Steam plan and you can all play different games at the same time, up to 6 of you. but you cannot have multiple people on the same game unless different instances of that game exist in the family library. So also, again, speaking of people who are not maybe blood relatives participating in these family plans, you will be able to leave a family plan and join another one. But once you have joined a new family plan, you are stuck as part of that family for a year. You will not be able to leave that family until you have been a part of it for a year, and then you can leave and join your other friends for whatever circle or whatever. So they kind of have a lot of this figured out, and it sounds like finally we're getting closer to the way it was back when the physical media was the dominant form of gaming media, where you could just, if you had a copy of this game and it was your brother's, you could still put it into your Xbox and play it because there was no DRM stopping you from doing that. So yeah, really awesome. Definitely moving in the right direction for Steam. I just really am super excited to see what more they have going forward. From there, let's talk now about the new trailer and the expansion for Starfield Shattered Space. So this technically isn't a trailer. This is more a breakdown of the DLC, but it's this still video that was released by Bethesda, so kind of qualifies, and you see some new gameplay. But really the big thing to take away from this is this DLC, the Shattered Space DLC, isn't at least what I was expecting out of it, because I was expecting it to somehow expand the galaxy that you're in, that's part of the game, and also potentially a gameplay change with the whole landing on planets and mining for resources and stuff when you get to those planets, because that's a big sticking point for a lot of people, is the way that mechanic works is fairly broken and is not the way it was sold to us when this game was originally being marketed. That's not what they're fixing. This DLC is more, it's a specific planet, so the entire story for this DLC happens on one planet, but it also makes a lot of the more granular things that you can change, that you can edit, that you can customize. It gives you a lot more capabilities when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that's what I mean by it's at once smaller than anticipated, but also a little bit more detailed, because the details are coming out, but only once you're already on the planet. So seems like almost a course correction, but not nearly enough. Let's continue on though. That's all we have for trailers. Let's get into some regular ass news. Ubisoft's The Crew 2. Almost in response to the current Stop Killing Games petition in the EU that's going before EU Parliament, they announced for The Crew, not only Crew, but Crew Motorfest are going to be having offline play modes. So once the servers are done, once Ubisoft no longer is supporting these games, you will still be able to play them offline, because that is the way gaming should be, and hopefully more producers will take this lead and follow it, because that is what you need to do. To what extent, I don't think they really got into. Move ensures titles remain functional even after servers are offline. Yeah, that's really all that was covered. So to what extent will it be playable offline still remains to be seen. Will it just be single player? Will it be split screen couch co-op kind of stuff? Will it be network, a local network LAN play? We don't know yet, but when the games launch, we will know. So we'll keep tabs. From there, let's talk about Microsoft. Speaking of closing stores and firing people, Microsoft just announced that they're going to be slashing 650 more jobs from the gaming division. This time though, this is a direct response to the Activision merger, or Activision acquisition, I guess I should say, because a lot of these jobs, the vast majority of these jobs, are going to be middle management and the upper ups, not necessarily developers, not the people who are writing the code, but the people who are keeping those people in check, if you will, because a lot of it's going to be redundancy. This move was kind of anticipated when the acquisition was approved, because there's going to be a lot of people in middle management that are unnecessary when you have other people in middle management already working for Microsoft. So this one, I guess, is kind of, we'll let this one slide a little bit. We can't give them too much grief because that's just good business practice. Shuttering your in-house production studios and then saying that you need more production studios to do the things that those shuttered production studios were already doing, that's bad form. This is good business. From there, let's move into Tony Hawk. So Tony Hawk did an interview, a really unique interview, because this was from the Mythical Kitchen Last Meals on Earth interview series with Mythical Chef Josh. If you're a fan, I am a fan too, welcome. But yeah, Tony Hawk was it said in the interview that he is currently back in talks with Activision, talking about new gaming stuff, but that's all he could say. So what exactly he means, we don't know at this point. Is it going to be a reboot of the franchise, as has been rumored for some time? Or is it going to be the other rumor that's surrounding the Tony Hawk video game franchise, in which we're supposedly getting a Tony Hawk 3 and 4, much like we got the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 a few years ago? That all remains to be seen. We just know that Tony Hawk is doing a thing, so sweet! Let's move on. From there, we have the PlayStation 6 update. We have official confirmation that Sony is, in fact, in the early stages of development for the PlayStation 6. They are currently securing GPUs and, I believe, CPUs for the next generation console. The thing about this is the companies that they're going through, and I again, amazing note taker, but the companies that they're going through for these chips, it is pointing in a direction that is implying that we are going to be seeing some pretty solid backward compatibility come out of the next generation of Sony consoles. Some have even gone on to speculate that the backward compatibility will go so far as the PlayStation 3. So it won't just be the previous generation or even the previous 2 generations, because that's going to be easy. Because right now, PlayStation 4 games are basically playable on the PlayStation 5 ecosystem, but anything older than that is absolutely verboten. Most people still have a PlayStation 2 console, and those are still in mostly working condition. I don't know that there's been any sort of mass die-off for the PlayStation 2 consoles just yet, but I'm sure it'll happen eventually. Either way, that is one of the most popular, if I think at this point is now the second most popular console in the history of gaming. So let's just say there's a lot of spare parts. So if things start going bad, those are easy to fix. So there's less incentive, is the point I'm getting to. Less incentive to go that far back in their backward compatibility, but it does seem that they are going to be pointing more towards a backward compatible console, which is good for gamers. Let's keep this trend up, shall we, gaming industry? Let's do this. That is what we have this week, though, for gaming. The suggestion, gaming and tech suggestions this week, I wanted to kind of flip the script on this one, because otherwise we'd just be talking about Mortal Kombat every freaking week. And I've brought it up, so I've kind of kept the trend going. But I'm gonna flip this one and put it on you guys. What do you suggest I play that's not Mortal Kombat this week? Let's have that conversation down in the comments section. Yeah, that's what we got for gaming and tech. Let's move on. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.